Hey coach, why do I need to figure out my vision first? Can't I get crazy rich first and then figure it out later? Today on the Landlord Coach Daily Show.
Five, four, three, two, one, zero, ignition, liftoff.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Landlord Coach Daily Show. My name is Mark Dolfini, your host and Landlord Coach. It's really good to see you today. So today we're going to be talking about why do I need to figure out my vision first? Can't I just get crazy rich and then figure it out later? So this is a question that I run into this a lot. And ironically enough, I run into this to a lot of people who they originally want to hire me as a coach until I make them realize that that's not the approach I take. And the reason why I take this approach is because it didn't work for me when I tried this approach. So I had to go and swap this around. So let me tell you a little quick. It reminded me of a time where I was when I started this whole process probably back in, I don't even know, like 96. So it was a while ago. I was still in the Marine Corps, and the only thing that I was really obsessed about was making money. And it was funny because everybody in the Marine Corps, in the early days was either like, they were the son of a congressman, the son of an admiral, or the son of a billionaire. Like everybody in there was just completely full of crap. But it was it was just funny because that was like the conversations that continually went on around the barracks. That basically everybody was going into sniper school or something, whatever. I'm like, dude, the best thing that you're gonna be able to do is be in motor T. That's like you're well suited for this job, right? So, but it was funny because there were so many of us that were just obsessed with making money. And at the time, the dot-com bubble was just starting and kind of progressing, and everybody was making money, day trading or at least trying. Mutual funds were becoming all the rage and all this stuff. So I was very obsessed with that. And that obsession continued on well into 2000 and into 2008, 2009, when, I had built up a pretty sizable real estate portfolio, about $6 million worth of real estate, and then watched two-thirds of it implode pretty much in about 8 months. So it was a really awful time for me. And because my vision and my focus was so focused on, well, let me put in my dues now. Let me pay my dues now, where I don't mind working 14, 16, 18 hours a day, grabbing a nap wherever I could, grabbing just chugging down more coffee or whatever it was. Actually, at the time, I didn't even drink coffee, but it was let me just continue this. This is the hustle. This is all the work part that has to come first before the success. So it wasn't until the things got really bad that I literally almost worked myself to death, where I wound up in the hospital with double pneumonia because I had been working that pace for so long, for so many years. The stress, the work hours, all that crap just piled on top of me until at one point it just broke me. And it was humbling. It was incredibly humbling to realize that everything that I had been focusing on for the better part of a decade, well, in fact, well, almost 15 years up to that point, had basically been a complete and total lie. So that's why when I started to say this needs to change, something has to be different. And that's when I had my 3 day vacation in the hospital. In the it wasn't the intensive care unit, but it was the whatever the step down is from that, and the critical care unit. And I'm sitting there with 3 days with not much to do, but I couldn't answer the phone, couldn't do much else, couldn't do much else. And as a result, I just kind of put everything into three buckets that my life was missing. And first and foremost was I really didn't have a plan in terms of what I was doing this all for in the first place. And that was the vision. That was the vision that I had to get really clear about. And then I realized I didn't have the infrastructure for my business. I mean, even if I did have help, even if I did have a worker, what was I going to have them do? I couldn't just like, yell do work at them and walk away. There was no systems, there was no processes, right? I didn't even have really even a desktop computer. I had it on my laptop, so I had no infrastructure. I didn't even have an office. And then I didn't have any processes. None of the processes were well defined. It was all up in my head. So that's how the vision infrastructure process method was born. The VIP method was born. But that's also why when I get a potential client that wants to say, well, I just need to make, $50,000 a month and then I'll figure it out afterwards. The problem was I was making $65,000 a month. Now, granted, I wasn't netting that, but I wasn't doing terribly. But by most people's measures of success, I was doing all right. And that 6 or 7 thousand, $8,000 I might have been netting at the end of each month. I was working 18, 19, 20 hours a day just trying to keep that afloat until, of course, things fell apart in the labor market, and the rest is history. But that's why if I had just swapped things around, and if I looked at it now, if I was to reverse engineer that and stopped growing at, say, 30 units, and didn't try to build more than I really needed. If I had a real vision for what I wanted, if I stopped at 20, say 25 units, that was generating roughly $20,000 a month for me, and deleveraged and got the business running well. I mean, I don't begrudge my journey. I'm not upset that this is the journey that I went on, because it brought me here. It brought me the ability to teach other people. I don't know that the VIP method ever would have been constructed. I wouldn't be able to help other people avoid that same thing. But damn, it sucked. I mean, I don't know that I could go through that again because it was awful. And just in all the aspects of that goes on. So this is why when I teach, the vision has to come first. And every single time when I'm talking about this with a coaching client, even in our coaching sessions, I'm going to say to them, what's your vision? What is it you're hoping to accomplish with this, with whatever this is? And many times they're even getting to the point where they're coaching themselves, and they ask the question, or they're in the middle of it and they go, well, I know you're going to ask me about my vision, right? Because this is the circuit breaker. This is where all decisions are run through. That's the lens that you have to look through to see if the activity that you're doing makes sense. So I don't see and this is just my truth. I mean, there's other ways that you can go about it, and people can say, well, I can't even pay my bills. Okay, if you can't even pay your bills, then maybe your closely held vision is to get to a point where you can pay your bills, right? It doesn't need to be overly complex. It's not about this far-reaching thing that you can't that's almost so untangible that you can't even think of at some point in time that you're going to be able to sit on a beach. No, it happens incrementally. It happens, like this vision funnel where you have your closely held vision at the bottom, that's the next thing that you're trying to hit. So think about it when you were an infant. At some point when you're an infant, you're crawling arm over arm and you wanted to be able to stand, right? So that next piece of your closely held vision is being able to stand up. Now, down the road, maybe you even want to ride a bike, but right now, that most closely held vision is just being able to stand on your own 2 feet. And then maybe you take a step, and then you maybe take 2 steps, right? That's how that vision slides down that funnel. So you're always looking at what's the closely held vision. What's the next thing that you want? If you want nothing else to accomplish, that's the only thing that matters, short of air and water and food and shelter. What else could you possibly want to accomplish? If that's the thing and you approach that with a ferocity of purpose, then nothing else is going to get in your way until that's accomplished. And that's why vision is so incredibly important. And then it's natural for us to think of what's the next thing. Okay, so the next thing is the next thing at the outer levels of your vision, right? So that's why I would suggest always focus on vision first. And if you're having trouble with that, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help you. I'm happy to have a discussion with anybody. You can just drop me a message on Facebook Messenger, or my email, mark@landlordcoach.com, whatever makes sense for you. I'm happy to have that conversation because I really truly believe, and not everybody's a coaching client for me. Not everybody would be a good fit, but vision certainly is a fit for everybody, no matter what you're doing and where you're at in life. And that is all I have for today. So, Paul, thanks for the shout out. I hope things are well in Sin City. Hope you guys are doing well out there. It is actually warming up out here, so you can't rub that in my face right now. It's actually probably getting too hot in Vegas. But anyway, that's all I have for today, everybody. Please be sure to place a value on your free time, because if you don't, someone else will. But no, most important, there is no amount of money that will make time irrelevant. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys next time.